Hey,
Hey everyone, and welcome to this. I know I say special episode. It seems like I say it like every episode, especially when we have somebody, but this one truly is a very special episode of Underground Video Network's Behind the Counter. I'm Mike Boroff,
I'm Richard Catterjohn.
and you may be asking yourself, in case you're not seeing the scrolling thing at the bottom, why this episode is so special for us. This is our 500th. 500th episode. And here we are in quarantine. Woo! How are you, 2020? But
Yeah,
real quick, how you doing, Rich?
good. I'm feeling a lot better. My throat's back. Of course,
Good.
last Sunday after we talked for 2 hours,
Yeah,
my voice was hurting pretty bad.
yeah, that was a long one. That was
Yeah, last episode, 2 hours.
yeah. And what was nice is we had people popping up like after the hour mark. That's usually when we lose people. Oh man. 500, Rich. God, that man.
18 years.
Our show is now legal to vote.
There you go.
Yeah. Our show is now barely legal, Rich. Hashtag just so we can get that audience.
Yeah, we started on the local access, recording from the Comic Connection. It was David and Peanut, and it was December the 16th, 2002.
God, man.
At 6:30 p.m. The first episode aired. We actually had a dry run before that, but there was some technical issues with that episode. So there was like a number 0 episode. So that was the first one that aired. And we weren't even called Behind the Counter yet. I think we went 3 or 4 episodes in before we came up with Behind the Counter. Because I think that was David's idea to do that. Well, give David the credit.
And just for anybody watching right now that's fairly new to the show, like even within the last few years, a history of the name Behind the Counter was because the show started with us at Peanut and Dave at the beginning, literally behind the counter at a comic book store. It was literally one of those things where it's just like, I was a regular there at the time, and we would just stand around for hours talking comic books and pop culture and movies, before it came cool. You kids right now today in your t-shirts and your Instagrams and everything, we struggled. We used to. I got the shit beat. Yeah, I got the crap beat out of me for wearing my Max Headroom t-shirt to school. And now it's retro. So yeah, 20. Oh my God, man, that is so hard to believe. But yeah, the show started off with us literally behind a counter, and it's not that we ever decided to change it because we lost the counter. The vibe was still there.
Yeah.
How's the old saying go? You can take the boy away from the counter, but you can't take the counter away from the boy.
Yeah, like after we quit doing from the Comic Connection, which was around 2005, because we lost the local access and Lima went away. That's the only reason we kind of stopped. I mean, there were some other things going on behind the scenes, but basically it was because the local access stopped.
Right.
So so that's heck. We moved online. We were doing video game. We were doing video game stuff in 2006 on YouTube before everybody else was even doing video games. Because we did Final Fantasy 7.
It was 7.
And David and Peanut was playing, and we recorded the screen and spliced the two together and stuff. And that went over really well because it had like 500 and some views back in the day. And that was great for us, because we had just moved online, and then we kept the video game thing going a little bit because we played, I think, Tekken. Peanut and me played some Tekken. David played games. We even had Sarah on playing games too.
Yeah. We invented Twitch.
We were doing
it all.
I swear we were doing it way before everybody else was doing it.
We may not be the best, but by God, we were the first. And then G4 came along and stole our thunder. Like, there's two people standing behind a podium talking about movies. Hi, you know.
And then, like I said, you and me, we moved the show. Well, we moved into your apartment or your basement, literally in your basement. And we did the show.
Mm-hmm.
Then we moved into your apartment and did the show. And we bounced around from Jacob's apartment or house to your apartment back and forth there for a while because you was finishing school, I think, at that time, right?
Yep. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Right? Wasn't that you was because you was still at Rhodes?
I was. Yeah. This guy went to college, people.
But no, that was crazy. And then we kind of moved over, and then I think it was around you and me have been doing the show for 10 years.
Yeah.
As of this year, because we started in 2010 because I think David had a flat tire or something, couldn't make the show or something. Because I think Peter was still on that episode. We were talking about Speed Racer, the movie.
Yes. Yes, I remember that, and I will stand by that movie. I watched it a couple months ago. It still holds up, and I still enjoy that movie.
I thought it was good, even the time. And then we moved around because we were even trying to do like retro comic reviews too. I remember that was one of the first ones I worked on with you guys. I mean, I had been on other episodes with Peanut and stuff beforehand, just like you. Before we moved into that, you had been on a couple episodes at the Comic Connection and vice versa. And then I think David or Peanut got in touch with you. That's how we moved into the basement, right? Wasn't that how we did it? Because Dave had to move from his other apartment to the other apartment, and it was really small, the other one. When we were trying to film. So that's why we thought to do that, because that's where we first live streamed in 2008.
Yeah, I remember. I remember that because we had the computer monitor, and this was when computer monitors were I mean, like they were heft.
Oh,
it was almost like it was like a cathode ray tube television set.
And that was your prompt teleprompter. Yes. And then you had your laptop that was like the size of the table.
Oh, yeah, it was, yeah.
And you was talking to, I think, a cousin in Oklahoma or somewhere?
No, Tennessee.
Tennessee. Okay, I knew somewhere else besides Ohio. And people were actually watching that episode.
Yeah.
Because we got that feedback with the audio because that was kind of fun. But then we did those episodes and stuff, and then eventually we were going like, how was it? Then we went back to the alter ego with like episode 167. That was you and me.
I think it's fun though. I gotta mention this because I can remember it. The way that I snuck into the show was Peanut and Dave were doing the show, and I was literally just there as a customer. Because I think if you remember, because the way Alter Ego was set up, the counter was here, and there was like an opening in the wall with back issues behind them. Right. And I'm back there going through back issues, and because I'd known Peanut and Dave for a while by then, and they were like, "Mike, you've seen this. What did you think?" And I remember just sitting down. And the sad part is, Richard, two things. If you go back to that old episode, I still had hair. And I found that picture and I showed people and I told them, I go, this is why I'm grateful for being bald. I showed them the picture of me with hair and I was like, this is what my hair looked like with effort. That's how bad it was. But I also realized too, Richard, this was just like a week or so ago. I was thinking about this. I was going through my closet because it started to get cold. I was looking for a long sleeve shirt and I pulled out this gray shirt and I realized, holy shit, this is the same gray shirt I wore like 15 years. I still have that gray long sleeve button up shirt. It's a little snugger now, but yeah, that's how I got onto the show. Was I just happened to be there and I knew what you guys were talking about, so they were like, come on in and sit down. And you never got rid of me.
Yeah, because you came back later and was talking about some comic book event that was going on at the Columbus Museum or something, didn't you? Because Eric was doing something with that, right?
It wasn't too long after the Billy Ireland Cartoon Museum opened.
Oh, okay.
because I had a friend, my friend Eric worked there, and I think it was Pow Bang Zoom,
Oh
but it
yes,
was like
yeah,
Pow
it
Bang
was.
Zoom. It was like their opening gala event, and
Right.
I went in to uh, put up not flyers, pamphlets is the word I'm
Right.
looking for.
Yeah, yeah.
And you guys were like, you want to talk about it? And I'm like,
Yeah, because
and
I
it,
think that's the episode where was bamfing people on. We had that little bit of explosion. You came on.
oh God, yeah.
Yeah, because we
You,
had the cheesiest special effects back then.
oh yeah, it was like Peanut loved the snick, snick, snarl, you know. And the weird thing is too, because I went back a while back ago and I rewatched it, man. Not only it was kind of like I traded my hair for being able to speak in front of camera because I had a full head of hair, but I was also like, yeah, down in Columbus, they're opening up a new museum called the Billy Ireland Cartoon Oh, I was horrible, dude. I was man, it's rough.
Anybody gets a chance, go down. Perfect, beautiful museum. You know,
Oh my God, yes.
I've been through the archives a couple different times with class tours and stuff. You
So have
know,
I.
it's been really cool.
I got a private tour because I'm friends with the curator. No, I got a chance to go deep into the. Oh my!
Yeah, I know. It's so cool back because you see they have it so that the rows can move back and forth, and then
They
you have
every like hermetically sealed, dude. It's well done.
they have the largest manga collection in North America.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then we got to see the cells from the dinosaur animation.
Yeah.
You know, that was really cool. And then we got to see some other stuff because we was there during the CXC stuff. That's when our class was going and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool because
Yeah.
I got to go with my comic book class and I got to go with another class because it was always funny when I was going through and I started talking to Caitlin just like because I knew her from other events and
Mm-hmm.
we started talking and the professor's looking at me like, uh.
We know each other.
But yeah, and then during that time frame, we started going to Gem City Con,
Oh yeah.
and I'm
Well,
go ahead.
no. Real quick, because I definitely want to jump into it, but I would just like to point out to people, I'm gonna get mushy later, Richard, and I'm gonna get mushy with you because of this show. But I would just like to point out to the studio audience, this show has lasted longer than my marriage, which goes to show you if it's true love, it will hang around. So I've been waiting all week for that bit, but yeah, we started
Huh?
Gym City.
Yeah, I got a picture from one of the first times we went there.
I think, yep, you son of a bitch, you son of a bitch. That's the picture.
Yeah, we Jeff Smith was down there because he
Yep.
went with us that year. Then he started going down on his own because his boys started to get of age to get into comic books and stuff. So
Yep.
know, but don't want to forget Jeff. Jeff was really a big part of the show even
Yes,
back
he was. Yeah.
because he brought the video game stuff in because he had worked for what was it called then? EB Games. Is that what it was called when he was the manager there?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right? Because we went over
Wow.
the Halo tournament. We have video
Yep.
the when they or the not well, it was like a tournament plus a release.
Yes.
The Halo 2 was coming out because they had the store all green and stuff because Dave was working there. And then Jeff, Dave, and me went to the Star Wars Celebration 3.
Yeah.
And we had coverage from that and stuff. So Jeff was a big part of the show back then because
Yes.
he brought that video game element and he knew the comic stuff too. So,
Yeah.
those were the days at the Comic Connection. I really do.
Oh man. And the other thing I like to point out is one of the big reasons why behind the counter stopped being behind the counter was none of us worked behind the counter anymore. Because even I got to spend some time behind the counter at Comic Connection.
Right.
And yeah, it was just when like none of us were working behind the counter. It was just like, well, we're not allowed behind the counter anymore.
Well, what was really cool though, even at the time, because Lima actually had another comic store at that time too.
Captain Matt's.
No, that was over in Delphus.
No.
They actually had a Lima store?
There was one in Lima too. It was in Northland.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. Well, I was thinking of Green Gate.
Green Gate, yes. Green Gate was a hell of a store too. Green Gate had good comic books, and they were very into anime and manga too.
Yeah, that's what I was about ready to say. That was all the manga, because we actually filmed an early episode there.
Yeah, and they were one of the first places that really embraced gaming too, because they had a huge area in the back.
Yeah, because that's how, like Bob and all those guys, got into the show. And then we had what was her name? I looked it up. The blonde-haired girl that helped us at the beginning. That was friends with the one wrestler. Oh my God, I just went blank.
So did I. I want to say Allison.
I feel so bad.
I want to say Allison.
No, because
you think I would remember? You think I would remember? Because
we had the Halo and everything. Oh my. Oh well, I'll have to think about that.
I know, because I remember having a crush on her, which wasn't uncommon. She was awesome,
and she knew her stuff too. That was the
yeah.
But that, because I got to think all those older, that was part of the show. We got to make sure everybody, because it was David and Peanut, and me. We were just sitting around one night the real motive behind the show was I just got hired to film at Lima Senior. I was doing a sports show with them, and I was, it was the voice of what's his name? He was the voice of Lima Senior Sports.
Vince Cosa?
No, well, he wanted to do it because they really wanted to do it, but they hired me because they didn't have no budget. Because they couldn't do, Vince couldn't come on because there was a conflict with WLIO or something.
Oh, that's right.
And since they didn't get the contract to do it, he couldn't do it. But it was one of the other announcer, and we had they had a new coach for the football that time, and we filmed the football and stuff like that. Well, I bought equipment to do that, so I asked Mike and David to test the equipment out. That was the true origin of Behind the Counter.
Oh my God.
We really called it Comic Book Shop Talk at the time.
I remember. No, I wasn't part, but I remember that. Yes, it was.
Yeah, the first 3 or 4 episodes, and then they started having the Halo tournaments in the store too.
Yep.
And so we did a lot of coverage of the Halo tournaments and stuff like that at the beginning, because we was really kind of promoting the Halo stuff, because it was really cool, because even I was into Halo back then too. I have a
same here
from the first generation,
Same Halo 1 and Halo 2. Those were my games.
Not Halo, the Hero Clicks.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah, the little,
Yep.
Because I bought too many to find Phoenix.
Yeah. Oh man, Hero Clicks was, oh my God. Dude, I had tackle boxes because we figured out early on that tackle boxes were the perfect size.
Yep.
So we were all like, you had a group. It was so weird because you had this juxtaposition. You had these completely geeky nerd looking guys carrying tackle boxes. Like, you boys going fishing? Nope. Got a campaign. Oh, man. But we started to talk about it earlier. That picture right there that you showed earlier, Richard, if I remember correct, that was my first con. That was the first rock of heroin, where it was just like, come with us, Mike. Just have a taste, Mike. No, you'll be able to quit anytime, Mike. And after that first convention, I'm like, you guys got any more conventions? We got any conventions coming up, man? I'll go to anything, man. Oh,
Well, here's
and
a
I'll
picture.
never.
I got a picture from the store.
Oh,
Oh, we
I
were on
love the fact
channel
that you.
11. We were on channel 11. Why did I say 2? Oh well, it was 11.
I love the fact that you found a picture that blatantly says "shameless plug."
And then here's another one of them.
Oh my god, dude! Look at those babies.
Yeah, they were only like 19, weren't they? 18, 19, barely.
Oh yeah.
Because they were just out of high school, I thought, if I remember right. Because you want to hear a crazy story, though? I met them back in 97
I know where.
at the premiere of Star Wars.
Yep.
Because it was so crazy. I didn't even know them. I was standing in line right in front of them. They
Mhm.
walked over to McDonald's because that's where they bought two 20-piece nuggets and brought
Yeah.
back. And then they offered me if I wanted some. I didn't even know them. It was so crazy because I started telling the story about these kids that gave me nuggets. Penis like I go, what's wrong with it? That was us.
Oh man.
He goes, you had an old Star Wars Celebration shirt on because it wasn't Celebration, it was the 10th anniversary of Star Wars because they had the 10th anniversary because it was a big one in California and a smaller one up in Detroit, and I went to the Detroit one. But I had that sweater on, and they was like, I remember you. It was so funny because it was like a year after we started the show.
See, Richard, it all comes back to Star Wars and chicky nuggies.
It does. But we was doing tons of stuff back in the day. I mean, I remember the Daredevil premiere. We set up.
Oh yeah.
It worked over at 1, 2, and 3. And we was in the lobby and stuff, and we did a bunch of stuff there. We did stuff.
Well, we were young and had very few responsibilities back in those days.
But I don't know. It was just we just was doing whatever we wanted to do.
Dude, I'm thinking about it, and it's so mind blowing because we were talking about how the show first started, and I remember we had the big cathode ray tube monitor, and we were all at Comic Connection with the landline, and here we are now. I'm doing the show on my phone. That's this big. You know what I mean? It's mind blowing to really think about it.
Because what was really cool was we was actually digital, even though we was analog, because we recorded in digital tape.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody remembers mini tape.
Dude, rewind that, man, because we did it at the same freaking time. We've been doing this show too long together.
We had
the same time when I had the man. God damn.
And but that's what I did. I just had upgraded in '99 to the mini tape. But the sad thing was, Time Warner could only broadcast with VHS.
Yeah.
So I had to convert everything back to VHS, and
you had to dumb it down for Time Warner cable.
But I saved all the original DVDs, the mini DVDs, and the masters. I literally exported the master recording to mini DV because I couldn't go straight from my computer to VHS. I had to go back to mini DV and then remaster it from mini DV to VHS to get it on the air.
Oh my god. That's a lot.
That's a lot of techno geek talk right there, but and then eventually the player died, and I had to bring I bought these DVD players. So they were some Panasonic, but I made them so they would auto start if you burnt the DVD to have auto start with no your junk that's at the beginning, your menu and stuff. Because there was a way back then you could actually burn DVDs with just straight to DVD and would play. like you would have a VHS. So we inserted that in place of it because it had all the analog outputs.
God, there's something I remember fondly. Burning DVDs. I mean, they were all legal. You know, the funny thing is, every once in a while when I'm going through my DVDs, I'll pull out a movie that I haven't seen in a long time that I really want to watch, and I open it up. I'm like, oh my God, this is a burn. I was like, digital.
Yeah, I had a friend that was had a little bit of insight into that stuff, you know, and it was really funny. I have Spider-Man 3 bootleg copy.
Oh my God.
And the bootleg copy that's the best I ever got was Cloverfield.
Well, that was the great thing about Cloverfield. Even if it was a shitty copy, it still looked really good for Cloverfield.
It took till the guy stood up and walked off screen.
Oh,
have you seen that copy?
Yes. I think all of us had that one movie. Mine, what man, we're so off topic, but welcome to the club. Mine was Panic Room with Jodie Foster.
Oh.
And I remember watching it because I couldn't play it on my DVD player because I had a crappy burn. So I'm watching on my computer monitor, which weighed 800 pounds, and it was a really intense moment. And I'm watching it like this. Then all of a sudden, some dude just stands up and like goes to the bathroom, and I went like, "What? God damn! You know." Oh man. Hi, and welcome to this episode of Underground Video Network. We date ourselves. If the gray hair and the bald hair haven't solidified it.
Well, how about this one?
Oh my God. I think I still have that shirt too.
I do.
Oh my God, man.
I think that was the first episode that we did at Alter Ego.
I think that was too.
63, not 67. I was thinking it was 67, but it was 63. I just found a bunch of covers that I used to do.
Oh my God. Oh. But no, going back to our at least my first con, Gem City. I mean, that when we talk about Gem City with such reverence, there's a reason why we always say that Gem City is our con, because we were there
at the second.
We
didn't go the first one. We went to the second one because Sean told me about it. That's how I found out about it.
Yeah.
Sean Forney, who was our very first guest on the show. Yeah. He literally drove down from his home, his parents' home, down to Lima, and he was so nervous to drive down to Lima because he heard so many bad things about Lima.
Yeah. Oh, but man, now we're going to get in. I'm going to get into the misty part for me of being on the show for so long, because I think about Gem City. So many of the people today that I really do consider friends, I've met through this show. And I'm going to get, where are you? You're over here. I'm going to get misty with you for a second here, Richard.
Okay.
We've been doing this show together for 10 years. And fudge, man. Richard, you have become one of my closest friends. and you know, I'm going to try not to get misty, but I mean, it's had it not been for, there are so many things in my life. You know what? I've said it 100 times. I never cared if we became famous, you know, or this was at a time where, you know, it was before the internet, you know, where YouTubers and all that stuff, you know, took off. We were hoping for network television. I never cared. I loved doing the show just for the hell of it. I never cared, you know. I mean, we all wanted, you know, hundreds of, you know, viewers, but it was the fact that I got to hang out with my friends on the regular because of the show. A lot of the reason why I am who I am today has been because of this show, and a lot of the friends that I have are because of the show. I mean, there's you, Dave, Peanut, Jeff Smith, And those were people that were attached to the show. But then going down to Comic Cons like Gem City, especially, I got to give a special shout out to Molly Durst, who I think I really do. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, Richard, but I really, if I remember correctly, I think Molly might have been one of my, if not my first interview.
Yeah, because well, this step back one, Peanut, Dave, and me went down to Pack Rat Comic for their second anniversary party, because that's where we met Molly.
Right, right.
We originally met, and then we interviewed her down there, and you wanted to meet her after seeing the interview, because that was our first big road trip we took when we went down to Pack Rat. And then we went to Gem City the following year. Then you came along, and then I think you interviewed her either that, or no, it wasn't that year, because our very first year there was kind of weird, because you disappeared on us because you wigged out and was in the dealer's room buying everything.
Oh, I'm not even gonna lie about that. That was my indoctrination. That was the equivalent of a diver surfacing too fast. I literally, when I walked into that, I remember it. When I walked into that vendor's room, it was the equivalent of the Benz. It was just like, and they're like, he's gone. We'll get him later.
Yeah, because we wandered around and Peanut interviewed Marv Wolfman that year.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Couldn't find you because you was like, we couldn't even find you. Literally,
I was gone, dude. I know I was gone.
So we interviewed him because it was really crazy, because I always thought that was so funny. Peanut went in a whole nother direction. He didn't ask about Teen Titans or anything.
He
asked about Blade.
Oh, yeah.
And he hadn't heard anybody ask him anything about Blade for years. And they were just sitting there talking. It was crazy, because at first I go, wait a sec. And then I had to think while Peter's doing this talk, and he had all this stuff come off top of his head talking to Marv Wolfman, of all people,
Speaking of Peanut, if you're watching us, I love you. We miss you. We hope you're doing good. This is for nobody but Richard. Quick impression: Peanut after every single convention. Taco Bell? No Taco Bell? Oh my God! Literally, it was. You could set your watch by Peanut falling asleep in the car ride home, man. That's why Peanut never argued about shotgun. He wanted that backseat because he knew he was going to be out.
You remember we was coming back from Derby City?
Oh.
And we ran in that storm, and I had that Rain-X on my windows, and I think it was Peanut or Jacob woke up when the storm started because the rain just started hitting, and it was like beating on the window, and they never seen, it was like, what's going on, because
are you going to turn your wipers on? Your wipe? No, I'm good. Yeah.
I'm doing
the speed limit, Richard.
On 75. So, I mean, we've gone a lot of shows,
Oh my God, yes.
Champion City, Comic-Con, Springfield, back in the day, all the way to now, I mean, we've been a part of Champion City forever,
Yeah.
And then we got to go to Detroit Fan Fair.
Oh, I miss Detroit Fan Fair. That was one of my favorite interviews, Rich. And I don't know if you have it anywhere. Well, I know you do.
Yeah.
But it was with
Fogel.
Huh?
Fogel, right?
That's it. Dan Fogel. Fantastic Beast, Mark Fogel. Y'all watching him on Fantastic Beasts, loving you some Mark Fogel. I got to interview him, I think
he wrote a comic. He wrote a graphic novel for Fanograph, one of the underground comics at the time,
Yeah.
or independent, because that's the table he was at, and he wasn't really doing interviews, but he said, "Sure, why not?" So
With all due respect, and this isn't me telling tales outside of church, we both know why he was so relaxed during that interview. Go back and rewatch it, because it was a giggle fest. He was just like, yeah. But it's one of the rare times I get to brag, because like you're watching Fantastic Beasts and you're like, yeah, I interviewed him.
Then you also got to interview the voice actor.
Oh, we're gonna jump into that one real quick. Hell, I'm just gonna do it. I've gotten to interview a lot of great people. But one thing people ask me when I mentioned the show was, if I ever got to interview any celebrities, anybody famous, and I always tell them it's not that we couldn't. We just never really cared about doing that. We were underground. You know what I mean? We were there for the creators, for comic book people. But there were rare instances where when somebody that was famous I had presented itself, I was like, I want to do this. And I have always been partial to voiceover actors. I grew up watching cartoons. I was one of those guys that would, after I would videotape the cartoon, I would pause it to read the names, because I knew I recognized certain voices. And one of the best/worst moments was in at Cincinnati Comic Expo. No, Cincinnati, was it Expo, Richard?
Yeah, Comic Expo.
Yeah. That was the year you were actually working for the expo,
right?
So you were upstairs, if I remember correctly. You were videotaping at the time. I believe it was the Power Rangers panel.
Yeah, I think so.
It was either the Power Rangers panel or Maria, or
yeah, I think it could have been Maria. Yeah, because I filmed every panel that year.
Yeah, so. Yeah. But so I go downstairs, and it was very weird for me, because it was if I remember correctly, for me, Richard, it was one of the first times I went to a con without you, without somebody there literally to hold my hand. I went down there to take pictures, for the site. And I'm walking around, and there he was, Rob Paulson. And if you don't know the name Rob Paulson, shut this off. You don't deserve to watch this show. You owe so much to Rob Paulson. But Rob Paulson, who was the voice of like 90% of our childhood. We were adults, but we were still true. And I at the time I was listening to his podcast, Talking Tunes with Rob Paulson. And I'm gonna tell the story, Richard, because this is one of my favorite stories. And I know I talk a lot, but I got to tell this story. I met Rob Paulson, and I'm talking to him. I'm in line to get his autograph and everything. And I remembered talking to him, and I'd mentioned about doing an interview because how much he meant to me. And this was years ago. I think it was kind of like still at the cusp of the voice actor people, really being well known. You know what I mean? It was,
yeah, because they had a panel where they had like 3 voice actors together that he was part of.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out who else was there, and I don't remember the other 2. But
I can't remember his name, but I remember it was Invader Zim. I remember.
Those 2 was together on a panel.
Yeah.
But that wasn't. I don't think that. Yeah, that was that year. I think. Yeah, because there was like a bunch of voice actors there that year. Because that was one of the first conventions to bring voice actors to at least our area.
Yes, it was. So I'm standing there talking to Rob Paulson, and I'm gonna hype Rob Paulson just for a second, because this was shortly after my divorce, and I still wasn't if you look back at pictures back then, I looked like I weighed like 98 pounds. I looked sickly. It was not a good time for me. But I remember talking to Rob Paulson, and he was so open and warm and kind. I mean, he actually talked to me. It wasn't one of these, sign it and, go. And I told him, I go, well, your podcast means a lot to me, because I explained to him, about the divorce. And I told him, I was walking around this reservoir because I went for walks a lot, and I'm listening to your podcast. And it was like one of the first times since my divorce that I genuinely laughed. And oh God, I'm going to get teary even thinking about it. Rob Paulson gets up, comes around the table, and the man hugs me.
Oh, geez.
I'm losing it right now, Richard. The man hugs me, and someone asked to take a picture, and I'm like, yeah, I gave them my camera. The picture is still hanging up on my wall. If you look at that picture, I wish I could bring it up right now. Oh, you can see I'm about ready to cry like a little schoolgirl with a skinned knee, because I am like almost in tears. And he was so nice. But here was the bad part to it. I asked him about doing an interview, because I love, voiceover actors. And he's like, yeah, sure. So my ass, I run upstairs to Richard, and Richard, at the time, you were working. It wasn't just like you were, for our show, videotaping the panels. You were employed by Cincinnati Richard, and you were like, I can't do it, Mike. I can't get away. And I'm like, well, I have a camera. It does video. Hopefully the audio picks up. And I did the interview with Rob Paulson, and it was one of my best interviews. But the ironic part was I'm interviewing one of the most well-known voiceover actors, and you can barely hear it. And I was like, oh my God. But that was definitely one of the highlights of the show for me, was being able to, interview Rob Paulson. And not only that, but it also segued into later on, Richard, if you remember, not only did I get to interview Pinky, about a year or so later, which is funny because if you look at it, Richard, they're like a year later, but I'm wearing the same Doctor Who costume. I really am. It looks like it was probably the same day, but we were at Detroit Fan Fair.
Right.
Where we met Maurice LaMarche, who was the Brain and Egon in the real Ghostbusters. And I will never forget this moment, because I'm getting his autograph, and he's sitting there with his handler. And I remember asking him, I was like, we do a show. I would love to interview you. And I brought up the picture. I go, because I would love to round this out. I got to interview Rob, and I would love to round off, I got Pinky, I would love to interview the Brain. And I remember his handler getting ready to be a handler and, probably shoot me down. I just remember Maurice LaMarche being a complete and utter lovely human being. Like, he shoved her out of the way. He was like, of course, come on over. And I'm like, ah. So yeah, because I'd gotten to talk to Rob, that segued into me getting to meet Maurice LaMarche, which was another highlight of doing this show. I would have never have met Pinky and the Brain had it not been for, me doing this show. But those were the highlights for me. Like I said, we never really gunned for celebrities, but they meant a lot to me. They were so, you know what I'm trying to say, Rich. They weren't just celebrities. They were important to me.
Yeah, but voice acting wasn't popular quite yet during that time, because that was 2013 you did those interviews.
Yes, because I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that the internet was still kind of blossoming at that point, and it wasn't quite as easy to find out who did stuff.
Right.
In my days of working at Blockbuster Video, if you wanted to know who was in anything, we had this gigantic book, and you had to, okay, what was the name of that movie? Okay, they were in it, So that was the reason why, voiceover actors hadn't really reached the popularity yet, because there was no way to access them. But, me being me, I was like, I know who you are. Can I please talk to you, Egon?
Yeah, that's right. You came up. I just remember the Blue Ranger was on when you came up, and I just had all that problems.
Yep.
With that panel, because you came up because I had trouble because we didn't have a moderator for that panel.
I remember that.
And he was having problems about not being a moderator. And I was trying to find out what was going on at the same time because I literally ran to the convention floor back up to the 3rd floor. And then I got everything straightened out because luckily someone introduced him for me, came out and because it was so funny. And then you popped in right after that had happened. And I'm going, no, I can't do this, and because he was on and he was great, but there was all that little miscommunication at the beginning that I had to smooth over because I always remember his handler talked to me the next day and said, you did better than you could with that because he actually thought I did a great job and actually that went real good with the whole, hey, we just got a heart from somebody.
Hi, whoever hearted us.
I heart. It's your one friend, Kimberly.
Oh, hi, Kimmy.
I had to look real quick. I always see who's doing stuff. But yeah, I always remember that day because that was the same time I had all the trouble with the Lord of the Ring panel.
Oh, yeah.
Because all these people flooded and I couldn't get them because I found out there was nobody checking at the door. They all disappeared on me, and it was like because I was trying to clear the room out because that's what my responsibility was to clear the room out, and then I was supposed to go out and then tell them that they could start coming in because they had special seating that year, and that was crazy.
That was a testament to your being able to organize unorganized chaos.
But I had to have help because our good friend Amanda, who's came up too. So and we got to shout out to Amanda. She's helped us with the show a lot.
Oh God, yes.
Well,
it goes back to kind of like what I was saying earlier about all the people who I have met through the show that even over the years that I have, they're not just con friends. They are legitimate friends. Amanda Gillum, she's up there. Molly Durst, her friends Ilea and Linda, Justin Wasson, Rodney Fike. I'm gonna miss people. I know I am, because I am so unprepared for this. I told you I didn't do my but these are all people because of this show that I am still friends with to this day, that I can do things and talk to, outside of a con, experience. And it just seems like every year going to these shows, it like snowballs, because, well, especially, more than I do, Richard. It's like when one person, then you're introduced to two people that they know. Then you're introduced to two people that they know, and it gets to the point where, it's like when we go to interview somebody, they may be new to us, but it's flattering to us. It's like, yeah, we know you guys. You're friends with Sean, Sean Forney is another prime example,
Right.
90% of my walls is decorated by art that I have gotten from friends that I have met through this show. And I really don't. My Rolodex, yes, I'm aging myself once again. Back in the days, we used to save telephone numbers on pieces of paper that were in a, but 90% of my contacts list or my friends list are from people that I've met doing this show. And I got it, man. I mean, here I go again, Rich. I have to thank you, Rich. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Oh,
I have to thank you. 90% of the people that I know, and I would say 85 to 90% of 75, 80% of the reason why I am the way I am is from doing this show. Doing this show is what got me into cosplay. Because when we would go to a con, I would interview cosplayers, and I'm not going to lie, I will be the first to admit it. I was young and stupid. I went after the cute cosplayers. this was my opportunity. But the thing about it is, though, the more I interviewed them, the more I learned about them, the more I learned about the craft, the more serious I took it. You know,
Right.
you know what I mean, Richard? Yeah.
I think that started with what's her name up in Detroit Fanfare, the one that was dressed up like the Green Lantern.
Oh, yeah, man.
Because you weren't prepared for her, because there was supposed to have been another cosplayer there, and she didn't show up.
Yeah.
And you winged that one. That was your first one that you just, because you used to kind of prep yourself before you did some of those interviews back at that time. I'm telling him, Mike, but he did prep for a lot of the stuff back then, but now you just wing them and just do it, you know.
Well, I think we both learned, Richard, especially from the episode we did in my basement with the teleprompter. Preparing has the opposite effect to us, because we would have paragraphs of stuff. And it was like, no, that's not working. Then we do bullet points, and it's just like, no, this is horrible. Because it'd be like, issue 175 of Action. You know, it was horrible.
Well, that's like me. I prepped for Jason Aaron. I had a chance to interview Jason Aaron down at the Laughing Ogre, and I went down to interview him, and I was talking to Gary Collins about Ghost Rider, because he was a big Ghost Rider fan. And I was trying to get some questions because I wasn't reading the current series that Jason Aaron was writing.
Right.
And I tried to wing it without. And I literally put my foot in my mouth.
Yeah.
And that hesitated me for a few years not to do interviews.
I remember that, because I remember one thing people don't know, because you put me in front of the camera, especially when we go to a con so much. I have tried many times over the years. Like, you sure you don't want to? No, I'm good.
It started a couple years ago, though. I did start, you know.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't go to the Monster Fest up in Akron.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I went up there because I had a chance to my favorite interview, you know, Fritz the Night Owl.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you got that one. I
fanboyed out. I know everybody that was watching told me I fanboyed out during that interview, but I mean, he was the one that actually got me started doing underground, because I literally used to talk to. He would show up at MarCon back in the day, and would go into the couple of the panels and stuff, and we got talking about old comics. That's where I found out he was a huge comic fan. You know? And we had talked about that and stuff. So I brought that up right before the interview, and then he kind of remembered but didn't, you know. But I knew the story of how he got into the film and stuff through the military and all that stuff, and how he was doing the stuff. So I was prepped just from knowledge, you know. So it was that was my fun interview.
But I got to, when I was talking about how much doing this show has bettered my life. I was talking about how I interviewed cosplayers in a roundabout way. The show is what got me into cosplaying, and I say roundabout because this is the reason why, and I will never forget this. If you look at all the old footage and see the old pictures of us when we go to a show, I was not in costume. I didn't start doing that, and I got started because of outside the show, but outside the show. Our friends Dave and Sarah, when we first started the show, they weren't married yet, but we were invited to their wedding, which still in my books is one of the most fantastic weddings I have ever been to, because it was not a conventional wedding. But the theme of the wedding was Doctor Who, and it was because it was The Boy Who Waited. And Dave and Sarah had asked me because I knew Doctor Who, if I would be willing to stand up in front of, you know, the crowd and explain to them the theme of the wedding. And I'm like, oh my God, I was in tears. I was like more than happy to. It wasn't until later I had the idea, I'm going to dress up as the Doctor. And this was before, you know, like the big costume sites were offering stuff. I had to go hardcore old school, like thrift store. I found a tweed jacket. I found a fez that, if you look at the pictures, I had to turn backwards because it was an actual Shriner's fez. I couldn't find a bow tie because nobody had bow ties, so I had to learn how to tie a tie like a bow tie. And I remember I was just dating my wife at the time then, and I'll grant her this, she was very accepting of this. But I remember going to the wedding, Richard. I remember Dave coming out and Dave seeing me dressed as a doctor, and he was like in tears. And it wasn't until the wedding started when Sarah came out and she saw me, and she was just like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" And I remember standing in front of everybody.
Here you go.
Oh fuck you! Oh no! Oh, that was it. But then I remember after that I'd had the costume put together. I remember it, Richard, because this is one of those defining moments in my life that will be replayed at my funeral. In my mind, it will, because even you know which moment I'm getting ready to talk about, Richard, because even it's one of our biggest regrets because it was spontaneous. But we went to OhioCon,
right?
And I dressed up as the doctor, and I was nervous because I had never gone to a con in costume before, and I didn't. And it was such a thrown together costume. But I will never forget this. We're going to OhioCon, and we're going up the escalator. And as me and you are going up the escalator, down the escalator comes an entire Gallifreyan army of Doctor cosplayers. And we had that brilliant Spies Like Us, yes, again, dating myself, Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase, Spies Like Us moment, where as we're crossing each other on the escalators, it was doctor, 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 and doctor. And the moment my ass got to the top of that escalator, I knew then and there, I want to do this forever. I want to do this is my way of life now. This, and ever since then it's been that way. And even the costume charity work that I do, Richard, I can attest back to this show. I remember when we went to, it was Free Comic Book Day. It was one of the days that we were like hitting a bunch of places. We went, right. I will never forget. I don't remember what year it was, but we went to the Laughing Ogre. And I think I was dressed up as the doctor. Yes, right. Because I had no superheroes at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And there were cosplayers there. And again, this is one of the moments where I met somebody, and I'm still friends with to this day, Aaron Einhorn. I remember talking to them, about, it's like, oh, that's great. You guys are all dressed up. And he explained to me about the Heroes Alliance. He's like, we're a group of cosplayers that go to events and we go to charities. And I remember, Richard, we did an interview with them.
Right.
And the moment I got done with that interview, I remember turning to Aaron and going, I want to be a part of this.
Right. I remember that.
I want to be a part of this. And he was just like, here's my information. He goes, he explained, we do superheroes. He goes, we love the doctor, but I'm like, I'm in. And I remember the main superhero that I wanted to be was my very first, I say, superhero costume was Arrow from Green Arrow.
Right.
I bought the costume. I took pictures of it. I sent it to Aaron, and he was just like, I know you. The costume looks great. You're in. Let's go. That was years ago, and I'm still doing that. And that's something I would not have done had it not been for this show. Oh, I see you over there typing, you little son of a bitch. I know you're looking something up.
I was looking for that picture because I always remember that's the one you had with Thor.
Yeah. Oh,
that was a cool picture. I always remember that.
Because I was trying to pick up the hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because that's, what's his name? I can't think of his name. That cosplay. Because he wasn't really with that. I think he was part of that group then, but he was always Aquaman at a couple other events and stuff,
Yeah.
And he played Captain Ohio the one year.
Yes.
Scott.
I remember Captain Ohio. Yeah.
But
so
I was looking for that picture.
I think I don't think I have the hammer one, but I legitimately think I have the picture of me interviewing the group. I know I have pictures from that day hanging on. I still have those pictures hanging on my wall.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if it hadn't been for this show, I wouldn't have gotten into cosplay, and I wouldn't have got into cosplay charity work. So when people ask me, why I, this, doing this show with you, Richard, son of a bitch, I'm going to do it again. Really means a lot to me, because so much of the people that are in my life and so much of what I do has stemmed directly from doing this show. And
now I want to do a little quick shout out from a spinoff series with us.
Don't you fucking judge me for this.
What? Oh,
sorry.
No,
cutting onions, bro.
No, I want to throw up.
I'm thinking about the Mandalorian. Okay, leave me alone.
We'll talk about that soon.
Yeah.
Geek Street.
Holy God, I remember that.
With Frank and Bill,
Oh my God. I remember those are two more people that are really good friends of mine that I met because of this show.
Yeah, because that was when Scott opened up Main Street Comics and Bill was down there. And we went down and I was starting to talk to Bill because they was getting ready to do Champion City Comic Con. And they've been doing Rainman podcast through Comic Related with like Chuck Moore and John Williams and Brett and all those guys did that website, and we had done some stuff together and everything because the year before they did like it was pre-StarCon, pre-Champion, but it was down at Superfly Comic. And they had Twilight Star Studios, which, I'm part of. Our book will be coming out soon. So, Gary, we'll have it ready. But
that's a future episode.
Yeah, it'll be a future episode. But talking about Bill and Frank, and they did some video work because Frank interviewed how was it? Sean and let's see how they did that. Chad Lambert was the first one we did that because he did an appearance at Main Street Comic, and then I did an interview, but it didn't really go over too well because Frank wasn't there yet. So they called Frank, and Frank came in and interviewed Chad for me because they knew each other better than I just met Chad at that time, and then we did that, and then Frank helped do some interviews from then on because we had some like spotlight episodes and did some. And I always remember the day that they opened the store up down there. I was down there, and I was up on top filming as the crowd came in and everything. I think it was their first anniversary episode. So I always remember we did another one. It was middle of January, but it was like 80 degrees, 70 degrees, 80. We were cooking on the grill. It was so good down there, So, and then that's when we came up with the idea for Geek Street, which only had 5 episodes plus a few Raymond Power Hour. Yeah. So we did some live video of that and stuff like that, So, that was one of our spinoffs we did, And got to thank those guys for helping us out too, So.
And meeting Frank is part of the reason why I can't go to Gym City without blowing a ton of cash, because we met Frank. I absolutely adore Frank and Bill, and I remember somebody had mentioned that they were going to be doing the charity auction, and I remember I was just kind of like, yeah, charity auction. That sounds kind of cool. Well, Bill and Frank are going to be emceeing it, or being the orator, the auctioneers.
Auctioneer, yeah.
And so I was just like, I'm going to go up there to see them. That was the beginning of the end, because I have yet to miss a Gym City charity auction, and I never walk away empty-handed. Never. and it got to the point where I've become such good friends with Frank that that man can read me, because he knows, like, when he's doing the auction, if I'm like doing this, he's like, yeah, man, he's not that invested, but he knows when he sees my hand, when I'm like, and I remember him saying before too, folks, I'm just going to tell you right now, Mike's going to outbid Mike. So yeah, that was another one of my quote unquote addictions, is going to the Gem City charity auction, and it's always so great because I love going there, and especially when I buy stuff, when I get stuff where the creator's there, because like right now hanging on my wall, and he knows it because I've showed him pictures. I have a canvas of Captain America that was done by Rodney Fike that I won at the auction, and like took down to him like, look, I know you signed this already. Sign it again. I want to, and it's hanging on my living room wall.
And, I mean, we met so many people. I always remember. Like oh, I don't know. It's just crazy some of the conventions we've gone to and stuff. And then the after cons for us is always eating at either Big Boy or Waffle House.
Oh, it's almost like a Pavlovian response anymore, Richard. I drive past a Big Boy or a Waffle House, and I'm like, Comic-Con.
Of course, the greatest one was the time we was eating at the Big Boy when we had all 4 seasons.
Oh my God, that was when we took my niece.
Yeah,
that was when we brought Emily with. Us, because I don't remember what costume I was wearing. I think it might have been Ant-Man, but I remember when we pulled up into the parking lot, it was summer, so I had a T-shirt and like my stretchy pants, what I wore underneath my suit. When we went inside, like it was like the day after Tomorrow blizzard hit.
Yeah, because it stormed first because there was a thunderstorm went through.
Uh-huh.
The power went out, and then the blizzard hit.
Yeah. Because I remember
and went away.
Yeah. Because I remember it, because I remember this. I remember Emily going to use the restroom, like to wash her hands or something. And it was summer. And when she came back out, now granted, she wasn't in there very long. When she came out, it was like, where'd summer go? It's winter now. And I was like, blizzard.
Because the power went out like across the street from where the Big Boy.
We could see it. Yeah. It was like the entire block went out.
Yeah, because there was a big light, because we heard the thunder. We didn't see the lightning, but we heard the thunder. Then our electric at the Big Boy flickered. It went out just for like a brief second, and then we looked across the street and it was just dark.
Yeah. Because I remember walking out of that place with nothing but a T-shirt and very thin stretchy pants on underneath them, and people looking at me like I'm an idiot. I'm like, it was summer when we got here.
Because I'm sure it was upper 70s. It was upper 70s.
Oh, yeah. It was literally, don't judge me. I'm not an idiot. I'm from Ohio, but it was literally summer when we got here. Oh, man. I have pictures of years my family met us down there. When, when my, because it was, I'd been going there for so long and talking him into it. I remember one year we brought my nephew Corey down. Corey came with us.
Right, yeah.
And then one year it was my niece Emily, my nephew Tyson, his little boy Braden, my nephew Corey, and his little boy Cashton. That was the day I indoctrinated them into it.
And then go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Richard.
I was just thinking because then all the events at like Alter Ego and the free comic book days when we went on the road and we went to every store in Columbus and then drove all the way to Dayton, almost.
Oh my God, I remember that day. That was
because we drove all the way to Springfield. That's what it was. Because we didn't go any further because you was, we just decided to quit that time because we was running late anyhow because the day was about over.
So remember, we hit when we Springfield, but we also hit Yellow Springs.
Well, yeah, that's right. We went through Springfield at Main Street, then we went to Yellow Springs because we went to both Dark Star and Superfly. Yeah, because that's the year I bought all those Atlet comics. Remember, they had and I bought more old comics that day than I got new.
Yeah.
course, well, you weren't with that, but remember the time I hit 10 comic stores? That's because you was dressed up because you was part of
The Heroes for Hope, and I was
yeah,
at
yeah.
Riga.
So I went on my own, and I went to 10 stores all the way from Columbus all the way to Dayton.
You were. I remember seeing your post because I kept track of you. You were like full on geek beast mode
Because
that day.
my 10th stop was at Paul's store in RU Games in Piqua. Because I literally busted up the 75 just so I could get there. That was my last stop because I didn't think I could make it up to Alter Ego because I was trying to get to Alter Ego.
Yeah.
Going to be my stopping point, but it was already too late. I know he had already closed by that time because I think that was like
it was late. Yeah,
it was because it was going on 8 o'clock because Paul was just closing because Brian was there, and we sat and talked for another 30 minutes after the store closed.
Mm-hmm. And I am really happy, Richard, because I know I have you in the show to thank for the Comic-Con lifestyle. You know, it's a part of me now. I was so happy, and this was very recently that I got to introduce you to a part of my life.
Oh,
because of the show is I had been going to the Ohio Renaissance Festival since God, I'm so old. My first mug is from 1994 because every year it was like 94 or 97 was the first year I bought a mug.
Oh wow.
And I'd bought a mug every year since then. And I'd always try to get you to go down, and you were reluctant, but I finally, because they started doing Time Travelers Weekend.
Well, that was the same weekend as usually Cincinnati Con Expo. I mean.
That was it.
Remember, I was working Cincinnati Expo.
That was it.
Well, I was there the first 5 years filming for them.
Mm-hmm. But I got to. Oh my God! Speaking of this show making me friends. Oh my God, dude! Now I am gonna get weepy because it was one of the first years they started doing the Ohio Renaissance Festival always did weekends, theme weekends, Viking weekend, Highland Games weekend, where they started doing a Time Travelers weekend. And I remember the first year I went by myself. I went down, and I remember telling you about it, and I remember bugging your ass all year about, like, you're coming with me next year. We're going to do a show from the Ohio Renaissance Festival. And that next year we went down. And keep in mind, I'd been going to that thing for 20 some odd years. So I'd been seeing the same shows with the same actors for so many years and like admiring them from afar. And I remember when I found out that we were going to be doing the show there, I reached out to one of the guys from, well, personally, one of my favorite shows at the Ohio Renaissance Festival, the Mud Show. And I reached out to one of them, and he'd seen pictures and everything on Facebook, and I asked him about doing an interview, and he was just like, yeah, I would absolutely love to. And that year when we went down to the Ohio Renaissance Festival, I got to interview, one of these, oh God, I'm going to blank on his name. I apologize to you right now if you're watching this. But I'd been admiring, this guy for 20 some odd years, going to the Renaissance Festival. And I got a chance to interview him and talk to him. And from that moment on, we were friends, he's one of those guys that I friended on Facebook. He likes my stuff. He comments on my stuff. And every year since then, when I go down there, I actually get to talk to him. And it was one of those moments where I was almost in tears. He goes, I absolutely love seeing the pictures of you as Ant-Man. He goes, it brings a smile to my face. And I'm like, you're not doing this, man. Oh, you're not doing this to me in front of my niece and my nephew at the Renaissance Festival. But because of doing the show, and I remember that was one of our greatest. We were going to we had talked to the swordsman. And we were going to interview Dirk and Guido from the Swordsman. And he's just like, yeah, he goes, we got a show here. He comes, come see me after the show. We would love to. once again, Ohio, being the lovely state that it is, decided, hey, it's really nice outside. Let's storm. Remember that, Richard?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, it wasn't just like a light trickle. I mean, it
Yeah, 'cause
stormed.
I started to get my headache right before that, and I looked at my
Yeah,
cell
you
phone
knew it was coming.
because I looked at the Weather Channel app because I had that, and that was that line of thunderstorm that was all the way down Ohio. And I said, Mike, I think we got 11 minutes to get to your car, and we barely got to your car. And went
Yeah.
down the road, and it just started pouring. I remember
Oh,
that.
it was hard, man. That drive. And I mean, it wasn't like it just rolled through like we could have rode it out. Oh no, man. I mean, it stormed a good percentage of the way home.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. So yeah, that tickled me because you'd brought me to all these comic book stores and conventions that I never would have gone to had it not been for you, and I got to for the one time I got to bring you into my world. And oh god, dude, remember the joust? I think you had videotape of it.
Oh, when that guy got it broke and he got knocked off.
Dude,
Yeah, yeah.
dude, I've been going to the Renaissance Festival for so many years, and I've seen some hits. Me and Richard at the time, we were as far back as you could get. We were on the bleachers in the far back. This guy got hit, and I felt it in my chest from that far back. It was like bam. I was like, oh, I don't think he's okay.
Yeah, they had to take him off, didn't they?
He tried. He
help,
gallantly tried.
yeah.
He's like, oh, Sir William is getting. He got on his horse, and he was just like, tapping out, man. I'm out. I can't do it. And it was like, oh, it's like, oh my god.
Well, the other thing that we did, we got to do the zombie. Or not at the fest, but we got to do a zombie run.
Oh, there's the twos. Oh my god, man.
It was 5K run. I thought both of us was going to die.
Oh, I remember that fondly, Richard, because that was one of my, I have very few moments of sheer genius, and I still say that was, okay, so imagine we're doing the zombie run, and it was brilliant. The people who were volunteering for it were brilliant. The way they did it, it was kind of like capture the flag, where you wore flags around you, and if a zombie grabbed your flag, it was like you were bit, and if you had any of the flags left when you were done.
With 3 flags. You started with because you had one on both sides, and then one either in the front or the back. I think they wanted you to put it in the back, right?
Yeah, one in the back and one on each side because they didn't want them. They asked you not to put it in the front.
I remember that because I think one of us was putting it on wrong.
It was probably me. But we went down. I went down dressed as Shaun from Shaun of the Dead. So imagine doing a 5K run in a white T-shirt, but with a white dress shirt over it. I had the name tag. I had the red mark for the ink. I had the tie. I was already bald, but I had the goatee. So I went down as Shaun. And I will never forget this, Richard. It was me, you, and like a few other people. And it was like one of the last legs of it. We were coming up a hill, and there were zombies coming towards us. And I remember, I will never forget this. I remember turning to everybody and go, "Follow me and play along." And I remember it was the first time I'd seen a zombie break character because they come rushing towards us. And when the one guy pieced together what we were doing, because I was Shaun from Shaun of the Dead, and I wasn't just playing acting like a zombie, I was doing it badly on purpose. Like, oh! He was like, ah! Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? He just started laughing. He went, "Just go." And he like let all of us, he was just like, he waved all of us through, because as soon as the other zombies saw us doing it, me as Shaun doing the fake zombie, they were just like, "Just go, man." And they were just like, I was so proud that I made a volunteer zombie break character, because he was just like, "Oh my god, that's brilliant, just go." And I remember, well, I guess
Mike just froze up.
the show, yeah, because the show, we've gone to a few conventions, but yeah, man, look at what was that? 2013, Richard. That was 7 years ago.
Wow.
I did not make it. I don't think either one of us made it.
No.
I just remember
Well,
we
well, I went through the first thing where it was like a whole gob of zombie. Remember, we had to run through that. There was like you go
oh
down
yeah.
and you had to come out. Well, they were only
Oh
supposed
yeah.
to take one flag from there. Well, they took two flags from me,
Yeah.
and I was like, wait a second, you're not supposed to be able to do that. I mean, by the rules.
Yeah.
But
Oh
they did. We did get like flags later on to keep continuing. Remember where we
yeah,
had
they
rested or whatever.
so long. Yeah, they would see that you didn't have any and they would give you some. I remember the evilness of that run too, because remember at the very end, after you went down the slide into the pink sludge of water, we had to
Oh,
crawl underneath this fence, right? And it was just high enough for you to crawl under. And both of us thought the same thing. It was just a fence until my ass touched the fence and it was like, ow, what the
yeah, because
they
yeah,
electrified it. I'm
yeah, I
like,
remember
you
that.
sons of bitches. Now, son, we're crawling. I'm like, oh, I was mad, man, because I was tired, I was cranky, and I was just like getting zapped in my ass.
Yeah, I still that the very ending, the one where we had to climb up the thing, then go down the slide into that big pit of
Pink
crud.
water. Oh God, I gag thinking about that water.
Well, we got to also remember Victor and Danny was down there too because they were running like two heats before us, was it, or behind us?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we got to meet them, or they were down there.
Oh man. See, that was the joy of being a part of this show, Richard, is like no matter what we do and where we go, we end up running into people that we know now.
Yeah, yeah. Everywhere we go, if it's a geek style event, someone's around.
Oh yeah. That while I'm thinking about it, that's another person that I'm friends with because of this show is Victor Dandridge,
Oh
who
yeah,
who me and you have seen blow up these last few years. I remember interviewing him at Comic Town in my very piss. Well, it was a good Hawkeye costume, but a really shit wig, which is why I'm ashamed of that episode. It was the shittiest wig I own.
yeah. That was for that. What was it? The cancer fundraiser,
Yeah.
wasn't it, or something?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I can't remember the whole. Yeah, yeah. I just went blank.
But it blows my mind because we were down there for that, and we were hanging out with Victor, and then like a couple years later, oh hey, look, there's Victor interviewing the Avengers.
Oh yeah.
It was one of those very few moments where it's just like, I know that guy, I know that guy. God, I couldn't even, man. Oh, oh, oh. I have to mention this, man. Speaking of interviews, uh, the Doctor Who interviews, Richard.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh
That.
my God, you want to talk about a highlight in my life?
Yeah. Pack Rat Comics. They had because they had trouble. What they do? They just set up the Who convention. Just
Yeah,
oh yeah, yeah. The one
yeah,
show folded
yeah.
because we were supposed to go to that show, and that folded. And then some of the ones that was being sponsored went to Pack Rat Comic and set up. I remember that now.
It was the actor who played Davros
Right.
in the entire show, and Caitlin Blackwood who played the young Amelia Pond.
Right. Who is actually related to her?
Yes, it's her cousin.
Right.
And Rich, you want to talk about feeling old? I just read something here not too long ago that Caitlin Blackwood is now the same age, if not older, than Karen Gillan was
Oh
in that
wow.
episode. Yeah. But no, I got to interview Davros and I got to interview young Amelia Pond dressed as the Doctor. You know, it was, oh my God, it was mind blowing. And he was such a lovely man too. He was rocking the kilt. I knew right away. He was like, I know you're Davros, but you, sir, are impressing the hell out of me. Oh God, he was so awesome. And it's something I never would have done without being a part of this show. You know, I never would have been able to just go up to him with a camcorder and go, "Can I interview you for my Facebook page or my MySpace page?"
Yeah, I'm surprised how we can just walk through conventions and stuff, you know.
And see that's another indication of where we aim the show, you know, because those two actors are important to us, but they might not be considered, you know, your Jason Momoa level.
Right.
Don't care. You mean a lot to me. I want to talk to you. I don't care about that guy from Gotham over there. He's awesome. I'm sure he's a lovely gentleman. Don't care. The guy that's been in full makeup that was in Doctor Who. Yes, please.
No, you probably just pass out like you did for David Tennant.
Oh, I still have that on my phone, man. And you know, I show that to people, and my friend Lauren. Again, it's like the Jacob's ladder. You know, if I hadn't done this, I wouldn't have been a part of this, and I would never have met this person, and I would have never met this person. But my good friend Lauren Liss was down there, and I was I wasn't with the Heroes Alliance table, but I remember, you know, I was still part of the team back then, and they let us stash our stuff there. But I interviewed them, you know, to give promotion to the table. And I remember Lauren came, you know, was walking around with us, and I still have the video on my phone, Richard. It will never go away.
Yeah, because we was in the back of the hall. We was all the way in the back of the hall.
We were all the way in the back.
You were just talking. I'm just standing there, and I just look away.
Yeah. And I just remember hearing Mike. And the ironic part was, I remember I was dressed as Booster Gold, you know, a time traveler, and I just heard Mike. And I went, what? And here come David Tennant. I was within breathing distance. I was like this close to David Tennant. And I just remember I passed out. And when I show that video to people think it's funny that I had that moment. I'm like, no, that wasn't staged. I literally was just like, ah. And Lauren was like, oh shit, he's down. No, that wasn't bullshit, people. That was a real moment. Me falling back, that was a real moment. I was just like, oh. Two more people I have to give a special shout out to that I've become friends with because of this show. Chad and Sarah Porter. We met them at Detroit Fan Fair.
Yeah.
I believe it was a Detroit Fan Fair.
Yeah, they were in the back of the room in that one corner.
Yes.
We met them, yeah.
It was one of those things where I just dug his art. I'm like, this is hilarious. I love you. Can I interview you? And I interviewed them, became friends with them. We hadn't been to, you know, cross at a convention in years. It was literally just last summer. So it was Detroit Fan Fair when I met them. It was literally just last summer that because Chad is from Canada. They both live in Canada now. Chad was from Canada. Sarah was originally from Ohio, which is part of the reason why they were in the area doing a convention. They were down. It was the summer before the pandemic. They were in Ohio to visit her family, and we're like, we're coming back up. We want to see you. Can we meet? And I remember we met at, ironically, I think it used to be a Big Boys, but it was a Mexican restaurant now in Wapakoneta, Ohio. And after like a good solid decade of meeting in person once and becoming friends online, we were still friends. We hung out and we got, you know, they brought me Canadian snacks.
Oh,
buddy. don't you let anybody tell you that ketchup chips aren't delicious. Oh, but yeah, it's just staggering to me, that I'm still friends with these people after all this time, and I would never have met them had it not been for this show.
Yeah, we're like the show that goes and goes, but no one really watches us all the
time. I know. And I will say this though. I hate to say the word fans because I don't want to sound like the D-bag, but the people who do watch our show.
Oh yeah.
So even if we're doing it for 5 or 6 people, it goes back with my way of thinking, Richard. If I tell a joke in front of a room full of 100 people and only one person laughs, I am happy as can be. That entire room could be dead-faced, but if there's that one guy or girl in the back, just day me, I don't care. So it's the same way. If we reach 100 people, we reach 100 people. If we reach 2 people, but they really like it, I'm happier than I'm happier than a baby Yoda in an egg farm.
Now, if anybody wants to, they can go to our archive, which is done now. So you can actually watch all. Let's see, where are we technically at? We're a little more than 500. Our numbering got a little wonky. Some episode had 4 parts. Some episodes had 2 parts. And there's literally 4 episodes missing.
Yeah.
Because we never did 100, but we did that on purpose. That was back when we didn't want to do 100. So we skipped it because that's when we started doing the video from your basement. And then like,
because didn't we have the joke for a long time, Richard, that we had at episode 100 and we were teasing it like it was the lost episode?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think we made a joke about it. It's like, welcome to episode 101. Oh man,
that's when we started drop the numbers sort of and started naming them crazy stuff because David didn't want to do numbers anymore.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I can't remember all the stuff. Then that kind of went away, and then we went back to the numbers. And then I numbered everything, even though everything was kind of jungled there, But even back in the day, technically there was no episode. See, 15, 16. I don't think there's any 16. We skipped 16. There was a 15.5. That's what it was. There was no 15, and there was no 16. So there's a 15.5 where we combined those two back in the original story. And then there's no 400. And then there was one other one that was missing. And then there is one that is missing that's never been uploaded. And then there was something else. And then, of course, we got to thank Mark from Alter Ego. He stepped up. And we did 5 episodes from Alter Ego, and he was on the air.
Yeah.
And there was 5 because there was one episode was never shown. It was him and me together with Peanut behind the camera, but Peanut should have stayed in front of the camera because he couldn't be quiet because he kept interrupting. That was so funny, I mean, nothing against that. But I go, Peanut, why didn't you just stay in front of the camera? And so that was a good time frame there. And that's when we got to be, friends with Mark because that's when things were in transition. He had just opened up his new store downtown because he was next to the Cupid at that time. And we was going to do that, and then it just didn't quite work out. Then we went into that alternative mode where we was doing gaming and we did a lot of gaming during that time frame because I think David was still working at EB at that time. And one of the other ones from EB came on for a while. Can't think of his name, but we did a lot of that stuff, and then that's how we just evolved. And like I said, when we started doing it from your other apartment, we was in that back room when we did the green screen.
Oh, dude, we got to bring the green screen back. That was so much fun. Like me and him are both just sitting there, and it was like the star background.
Yeah, he was floating in space.
I remember grabbing my my Millennium Falcon model and like, look, whoa.
And then we did that No Love for Dr. Jones episode. when the crystal skull came out.
Oh, we bashed. Oh yeah.
Because that's when you had the green screen behind you and stuff. Because I always remember we were doing stuff like that during that time. And then you and me tried to bring that back when we were filming in your garage.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have a backdrop, so we just put a green screen up.
Yeah. Because the person I was living with at the time wouldn't let us shoot inside. But yeah, I remember. You can tell we were shooting in my garage because it was one of the few times we were doing the show where we were sweating.
Plus, there was cricket in your garage that one episode.
Yeah. Oh man.
Because that was the dinosaur episode of Doctor Who when the cricket was in there. We was reviewing.
Oh, yeah, dinosaurs on a spaceship.
Yeah, and that cricket was going off in the background.
Wow.
Yeah, it's what?
One other because I should have actually just like lifted my head and looked around my room to remember people to mention. Tom Zoller.
Oh yeah.
Gotta mention Tom Zoller, creator, fantastic creator. I mentioned it the last episode, Richard, and we're gonna bring it up on a future episode. His the latest release of his Love and Cape series, in a family way. Oh my God, it's so good, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I always love bringing people with us, Richard, because there's very few moments in my life where I get to seem a little cool, but it was always fun for me to bring people to the show with us that had either never been to a comic book convention or never been with us. And you're walking around like, hey Tom, hey guys, how's it going? Hey, you know, hey Rodney, hey, how's it going? You know, and oh hey Dirk, we gotta mention, you know, Dirk Manning. You know, he's another one that we've met through the show. You know, hey, how's it going? And it's just like, you know, it's like, yeah, I know people. You know, you take me to a sporting arena, I have no idea who, you know, anybody is, but you give me in a comic book convention, I know that person, I know that person, I know that person.
Yeah. You know, it's been 18 years.
Oh, man. I can't believe our baby is old enough to vote, Richard. It's, you know. Oh, man.
And then hopefully we can get back to doing the episodes, you know, not like this, besides this, you know. Because I think what we're going to try to do, we were talking, I don't know for sure we're going to do this, but after this episode, Behind the Counter is going to take a little break.
Yeah, Behind the Counter is going to.
Yeah, because we're going to make that more like our coverage stuff, you know, and go back to a little bit, because I think what we're going to do, because we're going to take our holiday break like we always do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to move into, I think, what? We Talk Too Much as a video, maybe, right?
Yeah.
And then, or because we talk too much anyhow.
And it just made sense for us because to do it, to make that, because when we started doing the podcast, it was because this was
our timing just didn't work during that time.
Yeah, because it was pre-corona, but it was difficult because you were in school.
Right, I was in Columbus. Yeah.
So it was very difficult for us to get together, timing wise, not corona reason, you know, timing wise. So we're like, well, we do the podcast, we can do it damn near anytime we want.
Right, and we did it.
And we did it. And then once, you know, all this mishigosh started and we figured out we could do it like this, it's like, why bother just doing audio when, you know, when we can do it like this? And, you know, you've been able to in the past before break down the audio and still make it
part of the podcast. Yeah,
part of the podcast. So
I'm thinking season 3, first of the year in January. We Talk Too Much goes video.
Yeah,
other changes. You just never know.
Yeah, it really is. It's like you said. We do this for the love of doing it. You know, so we don't. You know, it's never been about, you know, like getting sponsors and getting 1,000 likes or subscriber, blah blah blah. But people don't realize, and you're solely responsible for. this show has beaten everybody technology wise. You know, Twitch people, we did it. YouTubers, we did it. Attack of the Show, we did it. You know, or when I say we, I mean this guy right here. This is what I can. Well, that was the other thing that really helped me out, Richard. That brought me into that was brought into my life was I've always been a photographer, but it wasn't until I started like actually taking photos, pictures at the conventions, you know, and not just, you know, like a couple, you know, pics here and there, you know. I started taking pictures of the conventions, you know, and that really tweaked my interest in, you know, doing the photography thing more seriously, you know. Right. So that was my contribution, you know, to the show and help, you know, bring traffic in, you know, because there was a day, Richard, I used to be able to beat you. We would come back from a convention and I'm like, I'd have, you know, I would post the pictures and we'd always say like, oh, here's pictures from the convention. Stay tuned for video. Then it became, you know, it's like, here's some video. By the way, hang around in a week or so. Mike might actually put pictures up. I was like,
well, he was working heavier at that time too, you know.
Yeah. Oh man. Holy smokes. Oh.
Wow. We've almost talked 2 hours just retro.
Yeah, yeah. Are
we going to do spoilers? Let's do spoilers for an episode. Or do you want to keep going?
Well, let's end this segment. Okay. I know I've talked a lot about this, Rick. Is there anybody you can think of real quick that you want to thank? You know, for
everybody. You know, I mean, it was Peanut Dave and me. You know, I mean that. I mean, I hate to say that. You know, no. We was sitting around that one night. You know, and I forgot Chad. Chad would show up all the time. I mean,
oh yeah.
We would film sometimes on Thursdays. We would film sometimes on Saturday. We would film after hours. Chad would just come in and be part of the show. And we just left the doors open and he came in.
Because I remember you guys talking about it. It was like, it's like, you knew when the open sign was off that nobody but him was going to actually walk in the door.
Yeah, because we would leave the door open. We're Lima. We left the door open.
I'm surprised Lee's Famous Recipe is still open across the street from the old Comic Connection because of Peanut not being there to buy sweet tea.
Oh, that's the guys would come in. They would come in with a jug, set it down, and everything. and it's always funny that the Heaven's Gate, the Heaven's Door people would come in, and they'd be closed. You know, what are their hours? I don't know. Read the door.
Yeah.
But
oh man,
we had a blast back in the day, you know. But we keep it alive, you know, and that's what I like, you know. And it's changed, it's evolved a little bit. I mean, it's still wacky, it's still out there, you know. We try to be a little more serious, but it's still fun to do crazy stuff.
I love, like I said, Rick. I mean, even if half the time when we or you are doing this, I'm not addressing the audience. I'm talking to you. It's like I don't give a shit if there's an audience. I'm talking to you. They're just that's how we got
someone watching, so don't offend whoever's watching.
I love you, but it was doing this right here is kind of what's kept the spirit of Behind the Counter alive, because the show started off with just like you had the idea of, you know, there's just like people talking at a comic book shop. You're just like, well, why don't we videotape you guys talking at the comic book shop?
Right.
You know, and then it just evolved from there. You know, me and you doing this right here. It's just, we're just videotaping our conversation, talking about the stuff that we love.
Yeah, because what I used to do with a little secret about the old show was we would record for over an hour to 2 hours and we get a 30-minute episode.
I know. I remember you telling me that.
You know, we would just sit and roll and just do stuff. Then I'd splice it down, you know, because, you know, that was back in the day when I wasn't even using Adobe at that time. I was using another software called Pinnacle because Adobe wasn't even out yet.
I remember. Yes.
I was editing with that. Then all of a sudden, I got the very first version of Adobe. I was in heaven when I would switched over to Adobe. Because but it had its look. That other software made it look like it did. And I kind of missed some of that look.
Right.
But it's what it was. So that's why I said it wasn't for them to. We would never done the show. If they said no, it would never happen. But they loved being on the air, and it was on local access.
Real quick, local access for you kids out there watching the show was before there was Cablevision. There used to be this TV that was about this big.
And it was channel 11, not 2. I screwed up the other day.
Oh, man. Well, God, that was around the time of Wayne's World, too. That kind of...
Well, the original show was back I did in the 90s was part of the Wayne's World,
Yeah.
And this was more like Clerks is what we were trying to shoot for.
Yeah.
Because Kevin Smith's Clerks had come out a couple years before that, because that was the 90s too, and we were like the leftover generation like that, It was what we were trying to accomplish. So, it's what it was, and we always had this idea to do it live. We always wanted to do it because I used to do my original show with Gary live on local access in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I would always tell the guys about how we did it live, and we always wanted to try to get because, like I said, the first video stuff was actually on Google Video. It wasn't even on YouTube. It was on Google Video.
Ooh, man!
So that's really because I really misjudged that one. I actually thought that was going to take off because they had that original deal with Apple, Google. Because their format was going to be so that they could play it on that big hunk of brick that used to run around and could watch videos.
Oh my God!
The iPad or the iPod video.
Yeah.
Because I bought one just to be able to put our videos on and see what it looked like and stuff off of Google.
I'm done. You were, when it came to all this stuff, man, I will give you, you were so ahead of the curve. It was just like all this, like you were waiting for technology to catch up to us,
Yeah. I just wish some of that original video stuff would have caught on back in the day. I really did, because then when we moved it around a little bit and we brought the comics back and stuff like that, it just was. I think we went to a little too niche of a market on YouTube at that time.
Oh yeah.
Maybe if we did stay with the video game a little bit better, maybe we would have kept that audience. I don't know. I think it was sometime in between there we kind of lost it. Of course, what really helped us get out there fast was the Derby videos that I used to put up on my YouTube,
yeah.
because back then you couldn't have like Underground Video Network YouTube channel. You had to be under someone's name back then. You couldn't create, and then you could only have 15-minute videos. Because we actually was on Blip.tv for the longest time.
I remember Blip.
Because we could do long play videos. It cost us like $10 a month, and then Disney bought them and destroyed it.
Yep.
Because they literally kicked us off. I got an email from them. We do not want your content anymore. We are going to be deleting it in X amount of time. Please save whatever you want.
Yeah. So
that was crazy.
Oh, so yeah. Dude, we're almost at the 2-hour mark. We are so going to go over 2 hours because there's something that we really need to talk about. But to close this up, this segment up, honestly, Richard, I'm gonna fucking lose it again. Thank you. Thank you, Richard, for this show that has been a massive part of my life. I wouldn't be the person that I am now if it wasn't for you, who,
I'm laughing a good laugh. That wasn't a bad laugh. That was
no, but I know you because I know oh my God, it was so much easier when I didn't care about anything, and now I'm all like feelings and stuff. But between me and you, Richard, honest to God, man, I'm being dead serious. I'm looking at you. I don't give a shit about you, man. Thank you for this. And then before I start crying, here's another reason to cry. Yeah, I just thanking all the people that have helped make this show possible. Our friends, our family that have, ridden in the back of the cars with us, the conventions, the dozens, if not hundreds of friends that Richard and I have made over the years doing this show. We couldn't have done it without you. And I know that sounds cliche, but there were certain times we'd go to a comic book convention. Richard was just like, I don't know who to talk to. There's Molly. So yes, thank you. God, do you think we're going to be able to?
Well, just thank you too for just going out on these adventures, and being in front of the camera.
Stop it, you.
But yeah, that's it's just one of them things. We just do it to have fun.
Yeah. I remember we even tinkered the idea, Richard, that we were going to do our own spin-off. It was going to be, what was it, like the car ride home, where we were just going to put up and this was dude, this was pre-podcast. Oh my God, we were so ahead of the curve. This was like pre-podcast, where we had the idea we were either going to videotape or audio tape ourselves talking about the convention on our way home from the convention.
Yeah. I know Chuck Moore and those guys were they kind of ran with that a little bit more. So I think that's why we didn't do it, because they were running with that, because they always had their trip home podcast or whatever it was called, where they talked about the show, and then we were always too tired. Everybody was always asleep, except for me for some reason. Maybe I did.
And I would like to say thanks to the show, is the reason why we have been able to acclimate ourselves into these post-COVID way of life, because y'all walking around with hand sanitizers thinking like you're the first ones, man. Oh no. Even back in like the night, the first thing me and Richard would do when we got back from that comic book convention, we got to his car.
Well, it was con crud back in the day.
Oh my God, dude! We took what we learned from con crud and transferred it into modern life. Comic book conventions prepared us for the Armageddon. Or the. Okay. So now that we've officially hit almost the 2-hour mark, again, thank you for everybody who's been on the show, that's watched the show. Now we're going to continue with the show. I don't know, Rich. You think we can hit the 3-hour mark?
Spoilers. Anybody don't? We will talk about a certain show on Disney Plus.
Yes. This because we're horrible with segues. We don't have our special effects things, when we're doing shows live. Spoiler alert, we are going to be talking. I know him. He's reaching for something. If you got a clacker board, I swear to God, I will.
I found it. I found it today.
The clacker board?
Remember I told you I thought I lost it at Gem City?
Yeah.
Nope, I didn't do it. I actually have all my video equipment almost boxed up. My mom bought me a bunch of tubs, and I've been boxing all my old equipment up because I'm getting ready for that other show that I was telling you about that I'm not telling anybody about yet, even though I just let it slip that I'm doing something on Twitch.
Nobody's watching.
No one's going to watch.
We're at the 2 hour. We're at the 2 hour mark.
There's still watching us. Hey, thanks for staying with us. There really is someone watching, unless they just got it and went and did something else.
I'm used to those phone calls. Like, yeah, you just keep talking. No, I'm gonna put the phone out. But we are going to. We're going into the Mandalorian. It was the season finale. So yes, spoiler alert. We debated doing it because we knew we were going to be talking about the 500. But I gotta talk. I don't care if anybody's watching right now. I need to talk to y'all. Thank you for watching. We love you. This is for me and Richard now. But just in case anybody is watching, and if who I think is watching, this is going to tickle her because these were a gift from my friend, and yeah, we're going Mandalorian, baby. So, spoiler alert, we are going to spoil the hell out of this episode like milk out in the sun.
So if you haven't watched the newest episode of Mandalorian, the season finale, go away, watch it, and then start the video back up, as they always say on the Nerdist. So
yeah, it'll be easy to find this segment because we're damn near at the 2-hour mark.
9:55.
Holy God. Dude, this oh man, this is what I'm still not emotionally recovered from that episode, Richard. It was, oh my goodness. And here, just it's hard wearing one of these when you don't have any hair on your head to keep it in place, man. Let's just talk first about this entire season of Mandalorian. Has been, in my opinion, again, disclaimer down here, the opinions and things about to be said are strictly, has been some of the best Star Wars in decades, man. It has been phenomenal. I think even last episode, not this last episode, but the episode before, was a testament to how good that show was, is because after finished watching it, Richard, I was like watching the credits and I realized, man, there was no Baby Yoda. There was no Grogu. And it was still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was still a phenomenal, I'm going to be fiddling with these for the next 2 hours. And I know you're going to use this as a screen grab for the episode.
I already posted on Instagram.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
I told everybody to keep watching past the hour 55 mark.
This is the way. Man, I was shook, dude. I don't even know, man. I'm literally at a loss for words where to start with this, because everything from the beginning credits to that amazing end, and the end was holy. Warning, language. Holy shit, dude! That episode was effing nuts. Man, I was not emotionally prepared for the things that we saw in that episode. Everything from the get-go. Oh, dude, how I had all day to prepare for this, Richard. I knew we were going to talk about it. I am literally stumbling because I don't know where to start. I want to start at the beginning, but okay, I'm done.
At least it looked like him, sort of.
Oh man, I want to talk about Luke, but there was so much more about that episode that was just fantastic.
Okay, that's where we're going to start. The part about the trooper on board the transport vehicle talking about blowing up Alderaan.
Dude, that was so ghetto. Oh my God.
And about all the lives, that the terrorists did when they blew up the Death Star. Because he was technically stationed on the Death Star. How did he survive? But that's beside the point.
No. I think he said he knew people.
Yeah, no, he served on the Death Star. He saw Alderaan blow up, he told her.
He saw, yeah.
And
yeah.
But I loved it when she turned and go, which one?
Dude, that was, man. that was a moment in television history because that was the nerdiest burn.
because
Like,
because we've always talked about that argument all from Clerks and everywhere else, where there would be construction workers on the Death Star when they blew the Death Star
yeah.
up, and all the innocent people that could have died and everything. It's like, no.
As a contractor myself, all I gotta say is, the jobs you're taking. I had a buddy, Louie, who worked. No. The construction worker made a point. They knew what they were getting into.
That to me was probably almost better than almost any part of that episode, because
Oh
I
my God.
died, because I go, there's a third-rate character arguing about the destruction of the Death Star from
And not only arguing, she got one of the best on-screen burns ever. Like you said, he was like, I knew about people on the Death Star. Which one? It was like that meme of the guys with the burns, like, oh, which one? Oh, I did, man. I literally went, oh, damn. I was like, I rewound that shit because I was just like, dude, the guy who was writing it was just like, oh, this is going to be historic.
Now,
and
the director was the ones that's doing Ant-Man coming up, right?
Hey Reed, baby! Hey Reed! And he was also, may I point out, he was also the director of the Ice Spider episode 2, which is why in the bar they gave him a nod with Dr. Erect, the insect creature that Amy Sedaris' character was talking to, because it was just like, I see what you did there, and I like it. Dude, oh my God. And luckily, I was able to avoid spoilers, but I got to watch it soon. And a couple of the Facebook pages that I belong to are like strictly, Mandalorian. And they're like, dude, we're a Mandalorian Facebook invite only page. You have 24 hours. You have 20. This weekend bullshit ain't gonna fly. You have 24 hours, and then we're hitting the spoilers. And it was like today, man. It was just like bing, 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 bing. I'm like, and I'm trying to be cool about it because I'm waiting till Monday, the official 48-hour whatever spoiler. But I have just been stockpiling memes, Richard. And I'll send you one, Richard. I made a meme.
Oh yeah.
And I shared it. Oh, I'm proud of this, bro. I will send it to you later. But I'll tell you what it is, though, because I came up with this meme. I shared it on the Mandalorian page, and bro, I'm up to 200 likes, man.
Oh wow.
Oh, dude. Here's what it was. It was the two pictures. It was two pictures of R2 and Grogu, and then like when R2 leans down and is like looking at Grogu.
Right.
The running joke that, like if you were to translate what R2D2 says, it's nothing but swears. That running joke, it's like he's not bleeping because that's the droid language. It's just that he has a foul mouth. It's not a dirty meme, but it's R2's looking at R2 or R2's looking at Grogu, and he beeps. And my translation was like, Luke, look, holy shit, a baby Yoda. which was their way of sneaking the words Baby Yoda into it, but without anybody ever knowing it. But we got it, man. We one of the things you got to give about this episode, man, was first of all the stuff in the bar with Boba and Mando, and then Bo-Katan and the other girl, the other Mandalorian woman. Where they were like bitching at each other. It's just like, you wear the armor, but you're not a Mandalorian. It's like, my father gave me this.
Yeah.
Dude, that was awesome because it was just like, it was like cathartic. It was
right.
it was like that elephant in the room. Like it had to get out in the open.
And it's like a setup to the ending.
Oh yeah.
Because all that stuff to do with the Darksaber. Because that's leading straight into season 3. You know what I'm saying? It's going to have to be because, you know, I was about to say something. What was I going to say? Yeah, because that because those two have to fight now. If she
Oh
wants,
yeah.
if she wants to take over,
But but people are. I wonder if it's going to happen, Richard, because there's still time for it to film. That is one of the things that the really the diehard fans, especially those that watch Rebels, are bitching about, because it's like that's not.
Yeah, I know. That's the whole
It's
thing.
not really a thing,
It's
because
just her mind. Like she wants it so that it proves that she's actually
right. It's
yeah
not that it's kind of like the creed. It's not so much set in stone. It's her way of thinking that she believes that she
right
has to earn it through combat, and
yeah
he was just like, dude, take it. I don't want it.
right.
I came for the kid. I got my shit. I'm out, But that fight in the bar, man, that was badass. Because it was just like, the two flame was like, yes, we get it. You all have flamethrowers. Let it go, man. Oh man. But my first thought was, not one of my first thoughts, especially when the women were in the elevator, and I say this as tribute because it reminded me of Tina Fey and Amy. You know who I'm talking about, Richard. Amy
Oh
from Pollard. Amy Pollard from
right.
Saturday Night Live. And this is a direct quote from Tina Fey. My first thought is bitches get shit done. I thought, man, somebody's got to make that meme, because that scene when they were in the elevator when Cara Dune's gun jammed.
Right. Oh
And this
yeah.
is this is why I love the internet. This is one of the times that the few I through the Mandalorian site, I have read actual people that are in the armed forces that have said, no, you all are complaining about her doing that. That's how it's done. You know what I mean? I've read more than a few people who are in the service go, no, that shit happens. That's how it would have been handled. Like when she slams the gun down, she's like, it's fine. You know, people were complaining about it, but armed service members were like, no, dude, that's happened, and that's how you fix it. And I read that, I'm like, hearing somebody say that, it just added to the validity of the storytellers, because it was almost just like, hey, I got this bit I want to do. Like they went to somebody they knew that were trained in weapons. Would they do this? Oh yeah, dude, we would totally do that. Like, cool, putting it in. But dude, watching them kick ass, man, that was god damn.
Yeah.
Dude, that right there alone was worth the price of admission. Because it was great, like when Kara and Ming Dong Wen, when the two Mandalorians like flew off the side of that railing,
Oh yeah.
which goes to show, like, at least they're running with the theme that the Empire does not believe in handrails. Like, there was nothing between them and that force field, man. But when they're fighting and then they come up out of the side, God, man, that was badass.
What I also enjoyed during some of that was the way the stormtroopers sounded almost like from the Death Star sequence with Han Solo. When Han and Chewie was running through, it sounded very similar.
Because one of them even said, "Close the blast doors! Close the blast doors!"
I think they did that on purpose, just as a homage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that's probably what it was.
Oh no, I fully believe.
And they used the shriek sound. It has the name.
The Mannheim. The Mannheim scream.
Yeah. They used that. Yeah.
Oh, that tickled me, man. If anybody out there is watching it, I don't know if I got the name exactly right, but Wilhelm. The Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, that's
Look
it.
up the Wilhelm scream. That shit originated like back in the 40s. They had been using that same scream in like every motion picture, like to date. Whoa! You'll know it when you hear it. But yeah, to hear that was a great little Easter egg. But the whole thing with Mando and the Dark Troopers,
Oh
dude,
yeah,
that was a hell of a fight, man. Oh my,
that was just one. Could you
that was
imagine?
yeah. But even I know you thought the same thing I did. It was a great idea in theory, like when he blew them, out of the airlock.
Right.
Like they can fly. They're only robots, and they can fly, right?
Well, I thought they should have like went to hyperspace or went faster.
Oh, the suck. Yeah.
Well, once they got out, yeah, you leave. Just like you did the alien when it went out to shoot, you destroyed it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You
Turn
guys remember
the
that
ship,
really old movie, Aliens?
yeah, you turn the ship a little bit around, then boom, but and they were worried about everything else.
Oh yeah. Uh, the whole confrontation with Moff Gideon. It's just like, go ahead, take him. I
Yeah,
got what I want out of him, and we all knew that was the only time I think Mando dropped his guard
yeah,
because we were all thinking, don't you? You didn't trust the guy, when he met Ahsoka Tano. You didn't trust him to put his gun down. Why the hell are you trusting him? I'd have popped. I'd have lit him. At least kneecap him. Kneecap him. He would have been alive for Bo-Katan to still interrogate. Ah, my knee. Yeah, you ain't going nowhere, are you? But even that whole moment, good lord, I really think the entire fight with Mando and the one Dark Trooper was just to set up that fantastic fight later.
right.
Oh my!
Well,
But
but during that fight, didn't that remind you of the Terminator when he had him up against the wall and kept hitting him in the helmet?
yeah,
He kept going into the actual wall with his helmet.
Well, what I kept thinking, and I rewatched it, I didn't see it, was Boba had the infamous dent on his helmet. I
Right.
kept thinking that was going to be kind of like it was going to be where Mando got hit. Something
Yeah.
similar.
Right. But it didn't. It just like pushed him into the wall. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
but it was like relentless. It was just like literally like robots. Damn,
Yeah,
bam,
it was
bam.
Terminator all over again.
Oh. And I loved how Mando still was using the pure Beskar spear. That was awesome, man.
Oh yeah. And the dark saber won't cut it, but just barely. You can see it get hot.
That was fantastic. That was some really deep planning on their part. Was as well, like when they showed it hitting it got red hot.
Right.
Then the sword went away and it cooled back down.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the things that they didn't.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have to do that, but
Right.
that was the level of uh detail that they put into that show, was the showing it get hot, and
Right.
showing the.
I just wish. Well, I don't know. It worked for that part and stuff. ILM's got some really good special effects, but I think they need some more.
Let's go right into it, because I have to admit though, Richard. Well, here's the other thing about the Star Wars universe that bothers me, and it's bothered me for a long time. Aside from the handrails,
Right.
is when Grogu was looking at the TV screen.
Yeah.
They live in a universe with light speed technology, holographic displays, yet all of their monitors are still black and white CCTVs.
Right out of the 70s.
Bullshit. They didn't even try to hide it. It was pure closed circuit television, black and white, shitty as all get out. No.
Yeah.
No. I know it was a nod, but no, man, come on. I mean, even Spaceballs, their monitor. What are we watching? We're watching now. What do you mean now? We're watching now. You know, at least theirs were in color.
You're right.
But I got to admit though, Richard, for the first few seconds when I saw the X-wing pull up,
Right.
I still wasn't sure. I thought the X-wing was going to be a red. I really did. I thought the X-wing was going to be a red herring.
I almost thought it was going to be Rogue Squadron.
You know, partly, yeah. There were two other people that had been rumored that might have popped up. One was Ezra Bridger from Rebels.
Right, yeah.
And the second one, and I understand why, and I was still a little, as much as I love Luke, I was still a little heartbroken, was Cal Kestis from the Fallen Order game. Because the ages would have been about right.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I still love that it was Luke, but I really did. It wasn't until Richard, and you want to talk about levels of detail. Even when he lit up that green lightsaber, I still wasn't 100% convinced. It was when you saw the black glove hand and the ungloved hand. And they even went so far, Richard, as giving him, he was in the Jedi outfit because it had that belt buckle.
Right.
Which anybody who owned that figure back in the day remembers that belt. I mean,
yeah,
that was when I was just like, oh, it's him. And that was another complaint that I have, Richard, was with all the technology that was available to them, that still wasn't the best.
I know. Are they ever going to buy out deep fake or not? I mean, your videos are better than that.
No shit. No, honest to God, Richard. And here was the first thing I thought was, after that initial, like joygasm of, like, it reminded me of Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at a young Jeff Daniels, and I was like, oh man.
It's the same, ILM did all that. They did Tron.
I know.
I mean, it reminded me of, Princess Leia from,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't get me wrong, I love them, but let's be honest, those were horrible. Were horrible.
His face was like solid or something. It looked it didn't look real,
Let us be honest, it was not good. It was not up to the standard that you know what I would have rather have seen, and people were like campaigning for it for like since the beginning of Mandalorian, is Sebastian Stan. When you see the people that had photoshopped him, they didn't even really alter his face. They just photoshopped him on Luke's body.
Right, yeah.
Everybody would have known who it was supposed to be.
Right.
And he could have got away with it too, because even separating himself from the Winter Soldier, if he'd have just shaved.
Oh, yeah.
Baby face Luke, man, we would have known who it was supposed to be.
Right.
And it would have been fine, but
I just wish they would buy deepfake out. They need to buy the software, take over the company.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, but that did bother me when I watched it.
It bothered me too.
After I just knew, I go, now are they going to screw this up, that part? And they, but
I would have almost rather of them. Oh God, even oh God, when they redid Grand Moff Tarkin too. Ooh.
Right. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Dude, this was literally, I'm sorry, but this was their third strike at that attempt to do a young face. I'm sorry. Somebody has got to tell them no.
Right. They need to, like I said, buy that software, take over the company or whatever, or lease it or something.
I will bet you dollars to donuts. You're going to see that popping up on the face. You're going to see that, Richard. Somebody out there right now is working on that GIF.
It's already done. I think it's out there, isn't it? I thought I saw it last night somewhere floating around.
It's possible. But that being said, seeing Luke there,
right,
given the time period, it was awesome. I was more excited about R2-D2 though. That was, oh man, You know, when he just rolled up and he, you know, it was so adorable and condescending at the same time because he like tilted down so he could see Grogu.
Yeah, but the only thing, I hate to tell all you guys who loves Baby Yoda, remember now, if Luke took him in under his wings, you know who probably kills him. Sorry.
That's been the meme going around is remember how good a luck Skywalkers have with children. That was my first joke when I thought about it. I thought about it last night. It was like literally 5 minutes after Luke takes Grogu, when Grogu learns, like, wait a minute, your dad's who? I'm out, bitches. Daddy. He calls up Daddy Mando. It's like, yeah, I could speak.
Yeah, someone was even joking. That's going to be part of episode 3 or season 3's ending. He's on the phone. Help me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, another joke I seen too is Mando on a phone. He's like, I'm coming. Where's my kid? Then it showed at the bottom when the Jedi Academy, Luke's Jedi school, was like burning up. It's just like, maybe it wasn't Kylo. You done pissed off the wrong Mandalorian.
Well, let's not forget about something that happened after the credits.
Oh yeah. Well, no. Oh. But even before that too, we have to talk on this moment, because the one thing the Mandalorian has been really good about has been character development. We talked about this last time, how Mando is acting in a way that he wasn't acting in the first episode. Dude, I'm a grown-ass man, and I will tell you right now, I wept like a little schoolgirl, because when he took the helmet off, I really thought he was just going to, like, lift it so Grogu could see it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But he took it off in front of Luke, in front of all of them. He took it off in front of Mandalorians. I don't think people are paying that enough respect. He took that helmet off. He took it off in front of the people who he defended the way to,
Right, yeah.
But dude, when Baby Yoda was like, when he did that number right there with the man, I was done. I was emotionally not prepared for that, man. Oh my god! And I would have loved. I hope later on we see like a deleted scene or something where like Cara Dune is looking at the other women like, damn, boy, kind of hot,
But we got to say about that Boba Fett ending. That is.
And you know what? Richard, I almost missed it, because I always watch through the credits for the production art,
Right?
Because it's phenomenal. But I'm watching through the credits, and when I realized that there was no production art, I'm not gonna lie to you, I kind of zoned out. But when I saw the credits pop up, I'm looking through them. After the secondary credits popped up.
Right.
When it said Bib Fortuna, I went, wait a minute. And I replayed the entire episode, like maybe I'm like, what? And then you heard the music, and they showed Jabba's palace. It was just like, oh.
Yeah. Well, what I did is, before the credits even started, I dropped my cursor down, see how much time was left.
Yeah,
Because I know the credits normally run just a little over 3 minutes. They run between 3 to 4 minutes, and when you dropped it down, there was over 7 minutes left.
It was over 7, yeah.
I go, oh, there's stuff after this. So now that's setting up Boba Fett, what he's going to do in his series.
From what I did read today, Richard, and I had this conversation with the guys at Alter Ego. From what I read, it's going to be a series. Right. It's not season 3. It's
already been set. They announced that at the press conference, that he has a series. It's going to be 8 episodes of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So it must be him taking over. Now, what I love to see, says he's becoming part of the crime lord with the Hutts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Who took over what was it they called themselves in Solo? the ending of Solo.
Oh,
And George Lucas was going to use Darth Maul as a villain in the third arc of Star Wars.
right.
So he's supposed to become, and he's a crime lord during this whole Empire time that was laying low. Now the Empire falls. Are we going to see a Darth Maul versus Boba Fett? I just want to throw that out there.
Man.
Would they actually do that?
But man, there's two things I'm really excited about. Was that we're going to get more Boba Fett, and we're going to get more of Ming Na Wen's character too, because I was just like, I love her.
You're right.
The cavalry, man, I love her, and seeing her there with him, I'm like, oh, she's in. Oh man.
I loved how she just went up and picked up that glass of the one stuff. Yeah.
Like, that's hardcore because she didn't even wipe it off. I'm sorry. Anything in Jabba's throne room, I pick up with hand sanitizer. You know, I'd at least been, you know, like, nope, she didn't.
I like when she freed the slave. You know, she freed the slave and get out.
Yeah. And I love that. I love the added fact that they made Bib Fortuna so rotund.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I don't know. I wish we see a little bit more of what happened to the whole Hutt Empire and stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know, the crime.
Yeah, because it seemed weird that another Hutt wouldn't have came in and filled the void.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Like how did Bib, a lackey, you know, this isn't like the presidency where if the president dies, the vice president takes over. You know, there's a hierarchy. You know, just because he's dead.
Yeah, I mean that's like the accountant taking over. You know, because I thought of him as more of an accountant position. You know, I figured he knew how to do the money stuff and knew how to take care of the slaves and stuff like that.
But that might be the angle, is because he knew. I bet he ran more of the operation than Jabba did. You know what I mean?
Too, yeah. But then, like I said, after we found out about Darth Maul was still running stuff and everything, it's like, now are we really going to see this? You know that I don't know why that just came to my mind after I saw that. I go, oh, I could see the crime wars or something. Or remember there was supposed to be a TV series back in the day called Underworld.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that was supposed to be all the Hutts and all the crime lords, because that's what George Lucas wanted to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he even admitted that you know, he wanted to bring back Darth Maul, you know, so that's why they ran with it like they did in the Clone Wars, you know.
And Rebels too.
Yeah. But it started there when they first brought him back in Clone Wars there, you know, and stuff. So, you know, it's all, I don't know. I just think this is what's going to happen. I just think Darth Maul is going to be a little bit more important during this little time frame before The Force Awakens.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be interesting to see if the show The Mandalorian does show the transition from the Empire to, you know, the First Order.
Right, yeah. I think it will. I think what they're laying the groundwork for is what the First Order is going to become, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, see, that's the great thing about the season finale and where it's going to go is, before, you know, the previous seasons, we had an inkling of the direction of the show.
Right.
Now it was just like, is it going to be Mando and the Mandalorians, you know, or are they going to go that route? Or is it literally just going to be Mando going, here's your sword, I don't want to give a shit, you know.
Yeah.
It could go in any direction right now.
Or is there going to be a fight and he goes back to and he rules? Yeah.
The one thing I do hope to see from the Boba Fett is I want to see him drop one of those sonic bombs down the Sarlacc pit's ass. You know, it's like payback magic. You just see guts flying everywhere.
Maybe we'll find out why his the slave one was saved all these years.
Oh man. Oh, but I got a special guest to talk about. Can't talk about the special without mentioning this little guy right here. Look at those cheeks. Oh dear God. Yeah, well, not this. This came later, but yeah, this was my Christmas present to myself this year. There's your screen grab right there, Rich. What's going on? What's happening? Remember the joke, Richard, we used to do about when we started the show about how we hated when people would like look right into the camera? Are we live? Is this on? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Oh. Yeah, that was my Christmas gift to myself right there. I really, man, it's just gonna suck knowing that it's gonna be like almost an entire year, Richard, before we get to see season 3.
Yeah.
This is like Doctor Who level waiting, you know.
Hey, speaking of Doctor Who, New Year's Day will come quick.
Yep. Real quick, the return of Captain Jack. Yay! At least they got his hair right this time, instead of that really bad dye job that we got a couple episodes ago.
Oh.
Ooh, that was rough, bro. Man, that was rough. But yeah, man, I'm still reeling from Luke showing up and seeing R2, and man, that was, you know, I can't wait to see where the show goes now, because he was like, well, we know that Boba would have had to come back. Well, yeah, because he's with their man, I want to know. I don't care about what happened 6 months. I want to know what happened 5 minutes after the episode ended, because it's just like, okay, because let's admit it, you know, Boba Fett knows who Luke Skywalker is. So was there that moment where it's just like, all right, I'm Slave One's coming to come and get you, and you know, it's like just as the X-wing Falcon leaves, you know, because Luke recognizes that ship. You know, he's gonna know what that ship is. It's like awkward moment, like.
Well, maybe it happened afterwards. Who knows? Maybe they didn't come back, because, you know, remember, he just destroyed those TIE fighters and took off. So
yeah.
So they'll probably meet up somewhere. They probably had a rendezvous point or something, you know. Of course, now they got this big Star Destroyer, or not quite. What it was, a Warrior
light cruiser.
Light cruiser, yeah,
light cruiser.
Yeah. So at least they got that now. Maybe they can use that to go back and do stuff. You know, who knows?
I want to see that argument too, where it's just like Mando's kind of like, you guys know, I lost a ship, right? Just, you know, which is another thing I'm really curious about. What the hell is Mando going to do? Because Boba's got Slave One. Kara's probably, you know, being sheriff back at that town.
Right.
There's the more you think about it, there's so many more unopened or unknown questions that we have after that season finale. You know,
it's
Mando going. Yeah.
Who knows? Like I said, I think they're just going back to the home planet, and everything's going to happen there. That's where I think it's going to go, because it has to, you know.
Yeah.
They'll probably take him back with them, and he's going to have to. Who knows?
Well, you know, the other joke I had is, you know, when Moff Gideon, and the fact that they still have Moff Gideon, you know, he tried to off himself, but, you know, Cara was just like, ain't having none of that. Yeah. You know,
he's worth a lot of money.
Yeah. But the one funny thing is, I want to see, you know, because Moff made this big deal. It's like, oh, she has to earn it in combat. You know, what's the definition of combat? Like, all right, Mando and her are like, okay, on 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, the saber's yours. Or arm wrestle. Oh, define combat.
Oh, I dropped it.
Yeah. Because Mando's not going to fight her just because
Yeah.
it's not the way, It's just like, I'm not going to fight you just for take the goddamn sword.
Well, like I said, we just have to wait a year.
I know. And side note too, everybody made the joke about buying the Lego set of the Razor's Crest after it got blown up. Price that bitch now. Dude, you can't find it. Lego is sold out. Amazon and all them. Even like Amazon, like aftermarket, it's up to like $300-400. No.
Wow.
Oh, dude. No. That did not decrease the value of that ship. Oh no. So, all right, Rich, we've officially hit the 2.5 hour mark.
Right.
I went from 75% battery. I'm down to 12, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up.
Oops.
Happy holidays, everybody, because this will be the last episode where we're gonna be on our holiday break.
Right.
So happy holidays, happy Life Day.
And we get rid of 2020. Yay!
Yeah, I don't know. Richard posted a thing. This is normally like, Richard, where can I find us? But
it's right there.
Right here. Behalf on Richard Catterjohn and myself, Mike Boroff, we hope everybody has a safe, happy, and healthy holiday. Richard, any last words to commemorate the year?
I'm just so happy that we've done this for 18 years now. And you and me 10,
Oh my God. Again, thank you everybody for that stuck with us and have been supportive of us over all the years.
So hey, thank you for watching.
Text me when we're done. I know who it is. Thank you everybody. So Richard, this is the last time I'm going to get to say this for the year 2020. So I'm going to take a second for it, get you prepared for it. Richard, press the button.
Uh-oh, there it goes.
I heard you press. Damn it, 2020 strikes again.